All right. Welcome back to another episode of Side Note, the podcast dedicated to underground electronic dance music and all things related. This week or this episode, we've got $sign in the house. Yeah. $sign producer, DJ, house music.
House music, yeah. Sometimes event thrower.
And sometime promoter.
Yeah.
And actually, you were just telling me before we started that you had a Beatport top 10. In Minimal House.
My EP release on Chi Chi Music back in March, actually. Yeah, topped out at 2 on the minimal charts. Yeah, it was really, really great. I mean, it was really organic. Obviously I got a lot of support from like people around me, but I mean, seeing the stats from all the different countries of people downloading and stuff, it was just really, really great.
Yeah, who feeds you those stats? Do you go on Beatport? So is there a creator hub?
So there's actually a creator hub called Song Stats.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm sure other producers that are listening to this are familiar with it, but it tells you some statistics on where you're at in Beatport and where you're, where you're ranked in terms of where people are downloading your tunes and stuff like that. So it's really nice. Yeah.
Sick. And I guess so as an underground producer, typically, you would kind of make your money from bookings, right? Because from what I understand, the actual sales of the music does not really generate that much.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So, I've released a lot of music and I've seen some returns on it, but that basically is just a tool to really get your
it's a marketing tool,
your name out there, and then maybe get more bookings, and then down the line, if you really are trying to make money from it, starting your own label and pushing it in, so you don't have to split with anyone. But that takes a lot of time, which is something I've thought about, but starting a label is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time and care, and it's a whole different animal. And I feel like a lot of people who start labels too early, they don't kind of realize, because they're still discovering themselves as an artist and all that type of stuff. And if someone just starts a label and that's all they want to do, then more power to them. But people who are DJs and producers who want to start labels and stuff like that, it's a daunting task, because you're working on your own tunes. You got to think about who you want to sign, if you want to put out only your own music, what kind of style of art you want, if you want to press it on wax, how to get on promo lists.
Right.
Because if you just release music on just onto your inner circle, it's just going to be in your inner circle,
right?
And it'll really just not go anywhere. So why not just put it on SoundCloud or or Bandcamp at that point? But I think building a proper promo list and getting all the connects and getting all the industry contacts to be able to get your music over to actual DJs who are touring and playing it out, that's the key. And
so is that done all for you by the label that you work with, or were you doing a lot of that work as well?
So when I release on bigger labels, they do all that for me, and then I have released on smaller labels where they don't have as many contacts, but so you maybe as a DJ have to maybe email a few promos out to DJs and stuff like that. But it's definitely a lot of work to kind of build up all those contacts and all that.
Yeah, and how so for the labels that you've worked with, how did you end up deciding to work with them?
So when I was starting out, the biggest thing is they have to be releasing music that is similar to you, right? That's the number one thing. And then
that makes sense.
The second is, who is their audience, right? Who is listening to them? What are they about? Are they really a music label? Are they just kind of half-assing it? Are they releasing music every 6 months? Cover art is very important. They always say don't judge a book by its cover, but it's true.
Oh, for sure.
You want a cool. Yeah. I have signed to labels before because the art of the label is just fucking sick. You know, so it's okay. So if you have a sick art cover, that's kind of something I want to attach to my name, to promo and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're scrolling through Beatport, right?
Exactly.
There's so much shit coming at you. Of course, it needs to look good, right?
Yeah. And then fourth is who else is released on there, right? So if it's an art, there's a few bigger artists on there that
that makes sense too. Okay.
And you're all right, they're on there. And then obviously what I'm saying is everyone wants to be on these labels, right? So I'm not saying anything crazy here, but at a certain point where you got to kind of think about it, it's is it worth releasing it on my own, or is it worth shopping around and waiting a year or two to kind of get it signed,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you just said sort of makes sense. But it's like, unless you are actively producing, which I do not, like, it's not something that you really think about, right?
Yeah, it's because, I mean, it's you write so much music, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of producers can relate. Like, I write music all the time. Like, I write maybe 2 to 3 beat ideas a week, and like maybe I finish like 2 to 3 songs a month, and not all of them are good, you know. Like, people always think like, oh, I have to get a burst of inspiration to produce, or I have to get, you know what I mean, just find like that rush to do it. But that's not the truth. That's not the truth with anything in life, you know what I mean. It's kind of like you have to
just put in the work.
Like, it's I hate to say it, but it's kind of like a numbers game, you know what I mean. Like, the more you do it, the better you get. And like, I wrote, when I first started, I wrote probably 100 songs that were trash, you know what I mean? During the pandemic, you know what I mean? That's all I was doing. Like, it's like learning how to produce. I've only been producing for about like 2.5, 3 years or so.
Dude, and you already have releases like charting on Beatport.
Because I was DJing for so long, and I was loving. And your guest last week, Steven Desario, actually helped me out a lot. He's like one of my shout out Steven. Shout out Steven. Yeah, one of my best friends. He helped me out a lot in the beginning with, you know, like how to kind of work around Ableton. And then I'll actually give a couple of shout outs to anyone out there who wants to use these resources too. So these are some really good tools. So DeMarzo has an online music school. It's about $150 a month. It's a little pricey, but you get, there's different producers in there who do classes, like tutorials, and they're very in depth.
Is it on demand? You just launch videos?
You just launch videos, and they're like hours and hours long of very in-depth production knowledge. And I feel blessed because I kind of started producing at a time where all these resources were available.
Right.
Like, I've talked to homies who had started producing like, 5-6 years ago, where they just were fucking around for years and getting to where they are now. You know what I mean? So I feel lucky where I was able to kind of skip a lot of those steps, and just kind of able to kind of focus. But at the end of the day, you got to sit down and really want it. Like, I literally, for about like during the whole 2020, was in my room just writing music all day. Well, I mean, also shout out to my friend Jacob. He would come over every day. We were just bored, and I didn't know how to write music, so we would just fuck around and make beats, you know what I mean, and like just have fun with it. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Because if you go in there expecting to make fire right away, you're just going to be disappointed and scared and just really just shy away from it. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is you can't be afraid to suck. You know?
Yeah. I saw some meme like a week or two ago where it's like, I was disappointed to learn that in order to be good at something, I have to be bad at it first.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing is you got to really kind of surround yourself with people who are doing it, similar to you, and like who are actually like even like way bigger than you,
Right.
Surrounding yourself with people who inspire you. And like, I have a really nice inner circle of really great close friends that I can send music to, and they'll honestly tell me what they think, and
right.
You know what I mean? And so we have like a really good, so I have, in terms of like feedback for tracks, I have like 3 types of people I'll send tracks to. I have like expert DJ friends that I'll send where they'll tell me about mix stuff. I'll send it out to kind of like people who don't produce but DJ, see if they would play it out. And then I would actually send it just to normal people who don't know much about music.
Just like, what do you think?
But like what do you think? And like people who would honestly tell me what they think if they would like it. Because at the end of the day, that's who I'm trying to market towards, right? Like those kinds of people, that's how you get bigger. And so it's like, so it's a lot of good feedback. And sometimes it gets overwhelming because everyone's telling me different things.
Right.
But I mean, it's all just good feedback. And at the end of the day, when you're in terms of like quality control, in terms of like producing or like DJing and stuff like that. And one thing I always have thought about is like, why did you start DJing or why did you start producing, right? It's because you believe in your heart that the music that you found will get people to dance, right? And it's the same thing when you're producing. You have to trust your ear. Like if you don't trust your ear, then you're dead in the game. You just end up trying to copy a sound. You're trying to make sure.
Right, that happens so much.
You're trying to make stuff that you think sounds good, like that's thing people would like, but you don't know in your heart if it sounds good or not because you're not really that into it. You know what I mean? And so it's like I feel like a lot of people fall into that trap, and it's something that I'm trying to really stay away from.
Yeah, how do you check yourself?
So it's like it's about being very like concise. You know what I mean? Some people work on tracks forever. They have a loop they've been working on for 6 months. Any producers out there, unless the loop is fucking amazing, like stop tweaking it every day. Structure it out, finish it, and then you can tweak from there because it's better to have.
Oh, so you're like, let me bang it out first, and if the fundamentals are right, then I can continue to work on it. But like, if the fundamentals isn't even there, what's the point?
If I'm bobbing my head while I'm producing and I'm like, oh, this is hot, and then the next day I listen to it in the car and it's not trash, and I'm still bobbing my head, I know it's like, all right, I think it's pretty good, you know.
Is that still the test? I feel like that's always been the test.
It is
like listening to it in your car.
Forever will be the test, and I will know. I won't hear anything different because I know that is like. You know what I mean? When you're in the whip and it's bumping, and you're like, okay.
Everyone says that. Like, I don't know if it's like ready until I actually like listen to it in the car.
Yeah, exactly. So you can hear a lot of stuff, and I do a lot. So I do a mix down on studio monitors, obviously, and I do actually another mix down in Apple headphones.
Okay.
Because it's like, what are people going to be listening to this music off of?
That's true in most cases. Yeah.
Right. So you got if it sounds good in there, you know what I mean.
Do you do like the big system test? I guess the car is the big system test.
Exactly. I mean, because if you do it on a big system, in a way, it's kind of not cheating.
Because it's always going to sound good.
It's always going to sound good. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, there's a lot of sub coming in. Like, this sounds great. But when you hear it in a car, you know, and it sounds way too subby, or, you know, all like a lot of like the mids or the highs are a little like, they don't like, you know what I mean? They sound a little muddy in the car as opposed to when they did it on the big system. You know what I mean? Right. So like, it's a never-ending process, and I'm still learning on how to.
And then, so did you have a musical background before you started producing? Do you play instruments?
A little bit. I mean, I was in like middle school band, and like for a few years, you know, so I knew how to like read a little bit of music. But would I say that actually helped me produce music? Not at all.
Really?
So literally, I mean, like, because I mean that was a long time ago. So like when I started producing, I had like kind of like zero knowledge. And like, I will say this, and I'm not ashamed to say it, it's like Ableton has so many tools in there to help you stay musically in key and like, you know what I mean? Keep you like honest. And like, you know, not saying like, you know what I mean? You have to like stay in like, I mean, obviously you got to stay in a certain key to make things sound good, you know what I mean? But like, they have so many tools that help you for people who don't have a musical background, just to help you write melodies. Like, I have a bunch of melodies in my track. I can't play piano. Right?
Okay. So how does that work? How do you do that then?
So Ableton has a bunch of like different tools where if you throw it on a channel, it'll only stay in one key.
Okay.
And so you can like you know, mess around, and you'll never be off key because you can only play notes that are in key.
Oh, right? Cool.
Right. And then another thing I do is if you're in like producing mode, in like when you're producing, you can fold the notes into exactly what key you're in. So I'll look up like what scale I'm trying to work in off beforehand on my phone sometimes, and I'll just like, all right, here are the notes I'm trying to work in, and I fold it, and then I'll just like write. It's all, you know what I mean? And at that point, just messing around for a few hours.
Okay, I had no idea. So I guess for folks out there who may be discouraged from producing because they don't know shit about music, you're saying there is hope.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And at the end of the day, if you're a good DJ and you know what's hot, you can produce. And that's the honest truth. And you just got to put in the work.
As long as you can vibe it and you're willing to put in the work.
Yeah. But I mean, before the DJing, I was, you know, before the producing, I was DJing for a while. Like, I started when I was like just turned 18, 17, like throwing. My parents bought me my first DJ equipment. And you know,
which was what?
Which was a little Pioneer 2-channel mixer or whatever.
Oh, like the little DDJ.
Yeah, exactly, okay. Dude. It might have been like the first model.
Like the first iteration of that. Oh, there used to be one called like the Arrow or something.
Yeah. And so like I had that, and you know what's cool? I mean, you're Asian, right? So I mean. And so like you can relate that like Asian parents normally don't tend to gravitate to, you know, support their kids through like the arts, you know what I mean? They're very focused on, you know,
it's true,
getting you through like, you know, a very traditional path, because I mean it makes sense, you know what I mean? That's how you make money. There's no real like, you know what I mean, path to money in music, you know what I mean? It's very like, you know,
well, actually, so like I relate. So my parents also hooked it up with some equipment when I was in high school, which is a long time ago now. But I think the rationale then was like, well, it's better than him playing video games.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so like I wasn't a gamer growing up. I only really liked listening to music.
Okay.
And I wasn't into electronic music actually until I went to Coachella.
Okay, wait. So when you first started DJing, were you like doing hip-hop stuff?
No. I wasn't even DJing at that time. Okay, yeah. So I went to Coachella maybe when I was like 16 or 17, and then I was listening to rap music.
Oh, because it's like all ages. I forget that Coachella is all ages.
All ages,
yeah,
man. And then I went and I saw. And this is gonna sound. And I know. And if you're out there and you can't relate to this, you're lying. Like I saw Martin Garrix.
Okay.
Never even heard electronic. It was like 2014, man. And I was like, oh wow, this is pretty tight. And then I went through the full rave thing. I used my brother's old passport to get into places. I got into like exchange and stuff. When I was 17, dude. Like, so at the end of Coachella, actually, my friend took me to the Yuma tent to go see the Martinez brothers.
Hell yeah!
Shout out Luis, my brother and business partner. And then, so we saw the Martinez brothers. I was like, oh wow, this house music stuff is pretty good. And then I got into like Dirty Bird and stuff like that. And then me and my friend Luis, who actually took me to go see the Martinez brothers that day, me and him were just sort of talking. We're like, all right, let's maybe try and throw some events, right? Like,
wait, so you're in high school?
No, we had just graduated high school. Yeah,
okay.
So we're basically like freshmen in high school, right? And I had just gotten these DJ decks, and then I had DJ'd a house party, and there was just madness. It was like hundreds of people, like just going nuts,
dude.
And it was crazy. I was just like, whoa, like that was like my first time DJing in front of people, right? And then like, me and my friend Luis like, dude, we should like throw a show or something, right? So luckily had a friend who had a connect. His parents owned a big music venue in Ventura.
Okay.
And we were 18 years old. They're like, oh yeah, we can rent it to you guys out on like a Tuesday, And we're 18. We're like, yeah, let's do it. So we throw this event.
Wait, and then so like, do you remember how much you had to pay to rent the venue out?
They hooked it up. It was, I think it was free.
Okay, sick.
They hooked it up.
Okay.
And we sold little tickets and stuff, and we sold it out.
So you're 18-year-old kids.
Yeah.
You have a free venue through friends' parents.
Yeah.
What was the capacity?
Probably like 150 people.
Okay,
I would say 200.
That's pretty
people.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we like basically
For first go.
Yeah, sold it out with a bunch of 18-year-olds in there.
Wait, and how did you get that many people? Like, was it just all your friends?
Just all my friends.
All word of mouth.
Word of mouth. And
okay.
then after that, we were like, okay, bro, like maybe we should. Start taking this a little bit more seriously. And we're 18 though. Like, how do you take it more seriously when you have no resources and stuff like that? So we were just throwing more local Ventura parties and stuff like that.
What were you doing for sound? Like, did they already have sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so it's a big music venue. Like, like reggae bands play like Revolution and stuff.
So
play
like
there. It's
total hookup.
Fat system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that really just kickstarted me. I was like, whoa, okay. So like, all right, maybe I should start diving deeper into this. And then I actually went to college. I went to Cal Poly Pomona, and there, this is a funny story. I went to a dispensary, right? And I saw this flyer, and it was like some dude named DJ Skullatron or some shit like that, live at the Fox Theater rooftop. And I was like, dude, if this motherfucker DJ Skullatron can play at the rooftop, like maybe we should throw an event there. It's a good venue, you know what I mean? And I walked to the Fox. We drive to the Fox Theater after this.
Fox Theater in Pomona.
Yeah. So it's a Golden Boys venue. It's
first rave I ever went to when I was 17 was the Fox Theater.
Yeah, it's an OG spot for ravers. So I was like, all right, like maybe we should throw something there. And so So we drive to the Fox Theater, right? And this is something that I don't think ever works for people, but we just knocked on the door at fucking 2 p.m. And then. Luckily, the manager opens. He's like, "Hey, can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, I just saw this flyer. Like, I want to maybe throw an event here." And he's like, "Oh, you're lucky. Like, I just came by to drop off some stuff. Like, I was
gonna say, like, what's he doing there at 2 p.m.?
Exactly. So he's like, "Oh, like, yeah, you got lucky." So he gave me a tour of the place, and then he looks at me. He's like, "Oh, we're actually looking to get kind of younger people in here, like college students and stuff."
You're like, "What do I look like, bro?"
Yeah. And so I was like, "Yeah, dude." Like, I was like, "Yeah, like, I think we can maybe work something out here." And then. So we ended up. So I'm like, so we're like I'm like 19 at this time. We throw a massive party at the Fox Theater with Kevin Anderson and Ghosty, who were on Desert Hearts. And we sold that out too.
Wait, so like, I mean, that had to have been expensive to book, right?
So,
like, you guys are like 19. Yeah. How did you pull that off?
It was very stressful. I poured in almost every dollar I had to my name at that time, which wasn't much. I'm freaking 19 at the time, And so like, it was a lot of work.
So you're just risking all of like your part-time job money,
absolutely,
et cetera.
Okay. And then like, well, he gave us a good deal. not gonna go into specifics how much it costs, but I mean, like he hooked us up quite a bit to where it was like half the rate of what it normally was.
Okay.
Because he was like, he understood. He's like, you're 19, like, you know what I mean. So we'll give you a hookup. Like, you just have to, you know, give us this. You get hit a bar minimum. If you get over it, we'll give you a percentage and all that stuff like that. And then yeah, it was wild. We literally sold it out. Got it popping. We did the rooftop parties. Maybe about 3 or 4 more, and they all were pretty successful.
I mean, I'm pretty blown away. Like, I mean, that's a big venue, you know, for a couple 19-year-olds.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
and so yeah, it's just kind of like you got to take, like, you know, it's cliche to say, but like you got to take a risk in life. And I mean, it's just like at that point in time, I had known that I had like so many great, amazing people around me who are still in my life today that just like would come to support me, and like it was awesome because it was just like basically. All of my friends plus people in the area who like to rave and stuff like that. So it was just a big party.
So did you so at this time, I mean, how did you promote? I'm sure you had to promote.
It was all through Instagram and Facebook and, you know, the typical stuff like that. And just basically it spread. And the key, I think, to promoting an event is knowing when to post and how to post and stuff like that, and actually putting some life into the post a little bit. You know what I mean? It's very easy just to throw like a flyer on your story and then not write a caption about it, and not put a song in it, or
So what do you feel like is your sauce then? Your secret sauce?
I'm not even saying this because I think I have secret sauce. I honestly don't. But it's something I think about, just like making it a little bit more personalized.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Making like, you know what I mean? Making sure like, so if you write something in your post that it actually might elicit to someone to respond to you. You know what I mean? And the way the algorithm works is if people respond to your Instagram stories, you'll get boosted the fuck up.
Got it.
So. And I'm not saying I have secrets, but like the way I post stories, usually like I will, you know, average around like a few hundred, just like, you know, views, and like sometimes like, you know, 500-600 views like on like stuff like that.
Dude.
But like last week I was in Hawaii posting like, you know, photos of like the island and stuff. It's like 60 people viewing.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like yeah. So you never really know, but. Yeah, I mean, like the promotion for those parties were really good. I mean, as 19-year-olds, like, you know, a lot of people who came weren't even ravers, you know, who were just like coming to support. And it was really great to see that like we had built a little community at such a young age, you know what I mean, to come help us, like, you know, build up something. But I mean, we did those.
Yeah. All the way how does the alcohol situation work too? Because
so Fox Theater is cool. If you're 21, you get a wristband.
Okay.
And then if not, you get like like a yellow.
So
wristband
you're throwing a party where like technically you're not even supposed to consume the drinks that you're selling, right?
Yeah. And so like and so yeah, but that was like the first time, and then like obviously after like we had been doing it for a few years there, and then we had eventually, you know, we're 21 and throwing stuff there, but we hadn't. So our last party there was probably 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, 2019, end of 2019 probably.
Okay, so pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic, okay. Yeah, and then basically the second half of 2019. Oh, actually no, 2018. We really focused. We shifted towards this desert party solstice that we did with Cognition.
Okay,
and
I think I saw this on your gram. Is this the thing like you got Tara Brooks to play?
Yeah, okay. that was a really great party.
Okay,
you know, some disorganization at the end kind of hurt our chances of doing it again, but like. But that wasn't even due to.
So I mean, it looked pretty organized.
It wasn't due to. There was 4 organizers. It was me and Luis, long-term post at the time, and then Cognition, Coalesce actually was in it too. Okay,
wait, so they were active in helping to organize the event. Okay,
then, Midnight Eden was also a partner, and this was an event that they had thrown for a few years that had been idle for a few years. And so this is an event that we had all attended in the past, so we were like, we should bring it back. But this time, you know, we'll all like, you know, collaborate on it and make it something huge. And it was amazing. And it was like we got Shaded, Tara Brooks, Brennan Gray.
Dude, those are big names. Yeah,
Annika Wolf, Lauren Mia played. Sammy Legs, a lot of people that we knew that were like on their way up, you know, and people that we were really excited to have out, and it was an amazing event, filled full of love. We basically sold out of tickets, but yeah, after that, we had kind of shifted a little bit. We're to more like LA warehouse stuff.
Okay.
But then the pandemic happened, which actually was probably the best thing that happened to me was the pandemic.
Then you had to produce?
Because I learned how to produce.
Yeah.
And so before the pandemic, I had really like, I mean, I always wanted to produce, but like I had never like kind of sat down and like did it. You know what I mean? So I was more of kind of like a thought. I'd never like I'd had the Ableton live trials, but I never really sat down and tried to make anything.
Right.
And then I was in my head, I'm like, all right, we can't go anywhere. I can't throw any parties. Like this is probably
let's do it. Yeah.
Like this is probably
Let's
the
go.
best time to do it,
Yeah.
right? And so I bought Ableton and like with my stimulus check, yeah, right. Shout out the government. And then I downloaded Ableton. Like I said, went to music classes and. Yeah, we just on the way up from there, and then had my first release about 9-10 months later, and have been releasing music steadily since then. And
Dude, so your first release was 2020.
Yeah.
And in that short time, you're like charting Beatport.
Yeah.
Also
getting and then like it's cool, and like I'm not like I haven't reached any level that I want to reach, and like in the grand scheme of things, I'm like at the bottom. But like it's cool to see that like people will like hit me up with booking offers based on my music and stuff like that, and like
how does that just randoms like
they'll hit my DMs and emails and just say, hey, like we have a party coming up, would you be interested in playing?
Dude.
And I've had to turn down a lot because as a DJ you want to play every party, but you have to set a certain rate for yourself, and you also have to know when to not burn yourself out. And as DJs,
because you're getting offers for like pennies.
But, yeah, for like it's like, hey, you want to come play at our bar for $50? It's like, no, not really.
Wait, people are finding you through your music,
through my music,
and then asking you if you play for $50 at their bar? That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like it's kind of cool. Yeah, and so it's like I'll only really take like gigs that I know are like. Will be like people there will like my music, and I know a lot of people will be there, and so it's like for any DJ out there who like, if you don't get booked a lot, then maybe take any gig that comes at you. But if you get to a certain point where you do get steady offers, where like, they're not huge offers, but you get like offers to play every month, somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like pretty important to not like saturate yourself to where you're playing in the same market every weekend, because at that point no one will come see you play because you play every weekend. And two, you got to play for the right party. If you're playing for a party that, maybe has like kind of a weird look about it. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to talk shit on any party in LA. I think it builds to the nightlife culture, but there's some parties that play music that, isn't specifically tailored to your sound. Like I'm not going to play with like 4 other bass house artists.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
You want to make sure like their aesthetic, right, matches your vibe, essentially.
Yeah, and I've talked to other people in the scene who are like more serious, like agents and stuff, and they say like agencies look at that stuff when they look at people who they might potentially want to sign. If you're playing every weekend and like you're playing random shit, you know what I mean? And you're basically labeled as, you're just that kind of DJ, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're not as like taken as seriously. Is that right? I don't know, but it's just the way it kind of like works, you know what I mean? And like,
it's interesting. I mean, that's like a very fine balance to draw, right? Because, a lot of DJs, they want to be able to play out. You want to be able to get out there as much as possible. Yeah. But it's like you got to do it in the right way. That's what you're saying.
That's something that actually Steven taught me a lot when I was coming up. He was telling me, he's like, yeah, dude, like you got to play the right parties. You got to have the right look. You know what I mean? You have to, make sure that stuff's in lock. Because there's a jump to be as just like a DJ who plays locally every weekend, and I'm a local DJ. I'm not even saying this because I am a guy who plays locally and stuff like that. But like, there's a jump to take when you're there to go to where you want to be, where you're playing, the clubs you want to play, the parties you want to play, and so the jump requires a lot of stuff. The first, I think, is producing your own music. Second is locking down what kind of image you're releasing out. And by image, I'm not trying to talk about like some snooty, like, like cool guy DJ Instagram shit. I'm talking more like if you're interacting to people, like people who actually fuck with your music, you know what I mean? Building up a community of people who will support you.
Like and then, more like following.
Exactly, like making sure like, people who support you actually support you. That's like the biggest thing, you know what I mean? So people have thousands and thousands of followers, but don't have that real fan base, It's just inflated numbers. And so like, that's how I only want people who like, you know what I mean? Like who actually are supporting me, you know what I mean? Because it's like at the end of the day, like if you don't have that real community, you'll never get that jump because like you don't have a real fan base, you know what I mean?
So in terms of where you're at now, sort of how often do you find yourself gigging relative to all the offers that you're getting?
So like I play probably, I would say like 2 to 3 times a month. I would say
that's really solid.
And some gigs I'll take strictly for the money. I'll be dead honest.
Oh, because you'll see the rate and you're like, okay, like
it's like double what I asked for.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, I'll play it. You know what I mean?
And then what set times, like typical, like 2 hour, 1 hour?
Hour, 2 hour sets, yeah. And sometimes 3, but yeah, most of the time it's just like hour and a half sets. Okay. You know what I mean? And like, and so it's important to, I think, really kind of set a very sturdy line as to like, you know, how many times you want to like put yourself out there a month, right? Where you like, you know what I mean? Is it worth driving all the way to this place, you know, for an event? Do you think it'll be popping? Are the people throwing the party people you want to, you know, get in touch with? I've taken lesser fees for people who, you know, I think down the line is good to know. And I think that's very important for any upcoming DJ out there. A lot of people who DJ, they'll buy like CDJs, right? And this is something I've seen recently, like the last 3 years, that they'll buy like 3 CDJs and a Nexus 900 or whatever, and they're like stoked on like, and they think that they deserve to play out because they DJ in their house.
Because they know how to do it.
This because they know how to do it, and it's like, yeah, like you can mix, but like there's a lot more to getting bookings and stuff than that, you know. Obviously producing is a way, but like obviously networking, I think, is probably the biggest key in our industry, and it's something that a lot of people don't like, and you know, but it's the way it is. Like people are gonna book people they gravitate towards that they know and have seen play, right? You know what I mean? And so like,
so what does that look like for you though? Does that mean that like you're taking time every weekend to go to this person's party?
I'll go to I've met a lot of people in the scene by just going to a lot of different events. Okay. So I've been to mostly every LA underground warehouse promoter party, but that is legit. I'm not talking about like the bullshit. Some people just throw warehouse parties from like a money grab.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll throw 5 local random DJs on, and then they'll like charge $15 a drink, you know?
Right.
And they'll advertise like weird shit. But I remember back in 2019, all the way up to like, I was going to 6 a.m. parties like every weekend. Yep. Shout out those guys. I love those guys. Those guys are like the most proper promoters, I think, in LA. Like all those guys, like
they're definitely the biggest right now, besides you know, Insomniac.
I love those guys because they're just some Asian dudes too who are just trying to build. And they're about it. And like I've had some great conversations with all the people in those crews. You know, like Gia, Johnny, all those guys. Like they're about it. Like they're trying to build something proper, and they like, you know, they do it right, they do it safely. You know what I mean? They make sure you have everything on lock, and it was inspiring. Like it's just like, oh wow, like. This is, and that's their like actual livelihood, and they do well for themselves. Yeah. You know?
So when you were going to their parties on the reg, were you going specifically to try to network, or?
No, I was going to just check out different stuff. Okay. And those are actually one and the same, because when you go to an event, you're gonna network with people, you know, and talk to them, and like, and it's very important. Any DJ who wants to play an event, you basically you have to kind of go there once to kind of like,
of course,
you kind of show your face, unless you're at a certain level where they're hitting your agent up, you know. But if you're on the come up, like you have to meet people, and you have to kind of keep a broad vision, like perspective on who like is doing stuff in the scene that is similar to you, and like who would be good to link up with. Right. So I think coming up, like. In the 805 where I grew up, I knew Annika Wolf way before, you know. Okay. Like me and her were playing at Chinese restaurants together. Dude. Straight up. No, straight up. Back in their like.
Shout out. She's supposed to come on in the next week or so.
Yeah. She is an angel and a soul sister for life, and so like. There was like, we were building up like, you know what I mean, connecting in like that area, you know, where in your hometown, finding out who does stuff, you know what I mean, and then from there, you know what I mean, just like anywhere you're at, like you can find people who are like-minded into you. it's crazy because in the 805, I don't even live there anymore. I live in Pomona now.
Right.
But, I mean, but that was always going to be my home. But there's like a
805
building.
is Santa Barbara,
Ventura.
Yeah, okay.
Camarillo.
Yeah.
And it's cool because like there's a lot. When I was coming up there was nothing in terms of like the scene out there, and there still isn't much. But like all the way up from like, like all the way up to like San Luis Obispo, there's like a pretty cool like scene out there. Like,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and it's like, and I'm like, and I know all those, I know all those cats. You know what I mean? And like yeah, shout out them. If you're in the 805 and you're listening to this, check out Control Disco in Ventura. They have a warehouse there. So if you're looking for underground raves, they do very proper there. Sub sessions out in like Central, they do a lot of really cool stuff like gatherings and stuff like that. And then, but like all the way up to like where like LA, like I was really like with the Madhouse crew, I had become pretty good friends with Diego and all them, and like. And it was really cool to see them, like, you know, do their parties and stuff. I was going to their parties when I was, like, younger. And it was, like, really inspiring, you know? It's, like, all stuff like that, like, networking from people, like, who were just hustling, you know,
right.
at the bottom and, like, going to their early parties. And then more recently, like, going to stuff like Yoon.
Yoonfest?
Yeah, those are my family. Like, shout out all those guys.
Okay.
Like, Kieran, Adam, Jake Mora, Jack, all those guys. I love those guys. Those are family for life. And those guys are probably doing some of the coolest shit I think I see in the scene right now. They throw the coolest music festival I think I've ever attended and played by a mile. I am just like the enthusiasm they have.
Right, yeah. What makes it different from some of the other stuff that's out there?
The amount of love and detail
and
community they built is absolutely insane.
Yoonfest?
Yeah.
So I think I saw it on your socials, but I hadn't heard of it before.
So it's so they're younger cats.
Okay.
And so I think so they're like, they kind of remind me when I was like around like in my like early 20s, you know, trying to, and like it started as like a little desert renegade.
Okay.
So one of my best friends, Kieran Ishimaru, amazing producer, by the way, shout out him. He calls me and he's like, hey, like we have this thing called Yoonfest. We have someone who dropped out. Like, do you want to play? I knew nothing about it. Like, I'd heard it from like him talking about it to me, but like I didn't really
What's
know.
the setup though? Just one stage, camping?
Imagine like Desert Hearts, but like more like kind of like Desert Hearts, but like, you know, kind of smaller scale. The first one.
And it's Renegade.
Renegade, right?
Okay.
So have you been to a Desert Renegade before?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Okay, so you pull up, and sometimes they're a little underwhelming, right? Like, not underwhelming, but there's not that many people there. Like, maybe like 10, 15 people there, whatever.
Yeah.
But this was kind of towards the end of the pandemic where I was like, okay, like, I haven't played out anywhere. I've been writing all this freaking music. Like, let's go out there. And I went out there, and it was, like, mind-blowing. Maybe like 700 people there, 800 people there.
Dude, that's like Moon Tribe.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And it was all like San Diego kids and LA kids who were like, you know, around like our age, who most of them don't even like electronic music like that. Like
they just heard about.
But they had heard about a cool party and they all went out and they, you know, it's filled with so much love, and like from there it's just gone just massive. Now they have massive headliners come out. They had Justin
How often is it?
Once or twice. Last year they did it twice in a year. This year,
okay.
I believe they might be only doing it once, but I'm not involved in the planning, so I don't know. Those are just my homies.
So, like, here's a question for you. Like, these days, you know, I see a lot of Desert Renegade or, you know, Wilderness Renegade happening. And obviously, because it's Renegade, you know, it's taking place sort of on public land.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate sort of like the need to keep law enforcement out of it, but also promote the party at the same time?
So I don't. So
or how? Maybe not you, but how?
So when we did our solstice party, we weren't worried about it because it was private property, owned by someone. The people who do it on public land, I would imagine they are worried about like getting rolled up on. But if you really think about it, like it would have to be extremely massive for the cops to come out there, you know? Because in theory, it does take a lot of resources for them to shut down a party of that nature, you know. So it's a risk, yes, but I mean, is it like something that I think would like legitimately happen? I don't think it's something that you would really have to seriously be worried about. But it's something you have to keep in your mind that it might happen, you know. But if it's most like I know Yoon is thrown on land that is Well, I don't know what it's gonna be next year, but I know that in the past it's been on
private.
that it's like someone does own it.
Got it.
And but yeah, I mean the desert scene is something that I will always hold dear to my heart. It's like the best times of my life is being out there with friends and just like getting silly and like hanging out and like listening to just like your friends just play some of the best music you've ever heard. And like I'll be honest, like the last 5 years of my life, I would say like the memories I've made at like these desert parties have built like the closest friends I have in life, you know what I mean? And so it's like it's really amazing. And and like for anyone listening out there who like wants to, you know, get involved in like a community or like get like, you know, kind of like see what people are doing, going to something like that is really, really a good jumping point. Because it's like you have nothing to do out there but like, you know, meet people. You can meet the organizers, and you know, and it's really inspiring, you know, and like
yeah, man. So like a crew of my closest friends, shout out to the Ars crew, and I've talked about it on the show before. They've thrown a Desert Renegade for like 20 years now, right? So they're now in their like 40s. And it's still going. It's still going.
Yeah,
like a twice a year thing.
Yeah.
But now it's gotten down to where it's like maybe like 40 people every party, which is like pretty weak sauce. So there's been all this internal conversation, like, okay, how do we sort of grow it and keep it fresh, but also maintain the integrity of. So for this crew, they're adamant that it has to be on public land. It has to be true renegade. Like, oh, it's cheating if we rent from a ranch or something. Yeah. So like, very difficult to navigate. Like, okay, well, if we're like promoting this shit all over social media, then aren't we inviting, you know, someone rolling up on us? But maybe, you know, these days, like, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal.
It's not I played this desert party last year, Camp Shifting Shapes, and it was actually on public land, right? And it was right next to a fucking Sci-Tech, or no, not Sci-Tech, Sci-Fest or something like that, where it was like Dustin Zahn was playing and shit like that.
Like a real fest?
Yeah.
Like a Renegade Festival next to
another Renegade Festival.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
So, but like that Renegade was way bigger. Like that one was crazy. So it was just like, so people are doing it, man. And I see it every weekend. I mean, I saw one this weekend. I don't even remember who it was. Some random flyer I saw. I feel like it's kind of dangerous, dude. It's August, hot as shit out there.
Yeah, this time of year.
I don't think I would take a desert booking this late in summer unless they paid me out the ass.
Yeah, it's a very narrow window too, right? Because otherwise, I mean, people play, you know, like Coalesce and shit, but it's cold, right? Isn't it cold?
It's cold. The only thing that keeps you warm out there is friendship. And I love the Coalesce crew. Like I live with Forrest. Like I've lived with him for years, and that's like my
shout out Forrest Bump.
That's like my brother. Like I love that guy to death. Like Coalesce is like so amazing because it's so. Like I talk about you, and it's filled with it's family and love at Coalesce, you know, and like they're very, very true to their principles, and like they've stuck to what they always wanted to accomplish, and they're growing at a great rate, and those always will be my, like, you know, family forever. And it's cold out there though. It is cold, but I love it. It's just a good time. You're out there with all your friends, and it's amazing. Yeah.
You do all 3 days?
I did last year.
Oh shit!
I did last year.
Damn, man.
Because I wasn't going to, and then my friend Kieran calls me at like 8 p.m. He's like, all right, bro, I'm gonna come over. I'm picking you up, and we're going tonight. And I was like, all right, fuck it, let's go. And so we went 3 days, and it was amazing. But it's if you ever have a chance to go for a day or two, it's amazing.
Dude, I'm gonna try to go. I'm gonna try to go this year. In fact,
you should send in a mix.
Yeah, I was gonna say. In fact, I might just send in a mix.
And that's why I love them, because they will give people a chance to play out. They gave me my chance to play out for people like kind of like that. Like I'd played out, you know, in Ventura and like stuff like that, but I'd never driven out so far and somewhere to play music. And so it was cool because I'd met Forrest at Desert Hearts.
Oh shit! Okay.
And I don't know if he's gonna be mad at me for telling me this story. But I was like, "Oh, dude, you're Forrest Bump," and we were on a speaker. I was like, "Dude, do you want to do a bump?" And then he was like, "Yeah." And we were best friends since. Like that was like 5-6 years ago. I love that guy. But yeah, those guys do.
Wait, so you met him randomly at DH?
Yeah.
And like now you guys are roommates.
Yeah.
And best homies.
And his girlfriend is someone I went to college with. So
dude,
you owe me, Bump. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, she.
That's true plur right there.
That's exactly. No. Yeah. So I mean, I love that, dude. And like, we all. Like, I live with him. his girlfriend, and then I actually live with another amazing techno producer, Tyler Tibbs. You should check him out. Industrial.
So
techno.
you have like a whole kind of like creative.
Yeah,
it's like a content house.
We do.
Yeah,
rave. Exactly. Except that we're all real life like best friends. So it's like it's really great. Like I can't. People like bag, not bag, but like people like like think like, oh, living with roommates kind of sucks. And I mean, obviously, living with roommates in any scenario is challenges, ups and downs. But when you live with people you genuinely like get along with and are similar in nature and are like doing similar stuff to you, it's actually very like inspiring in terms of like I'll hear Brandon working on music for us. He'll be working on music in his room. And I hear Tyler working on some pounding techno. I'm like, all right, I gotta get it on.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah.
So it's definitely, and then it's fun because we have decks and stuff. So we'll all have like roomy mix sessions and stuff like that. So I'm lucky. It's something.
Oh man, I love. Yeah, that sounds like the life.
Yeah, I'm lucky. So it's definitely something that I've definitely grown to just appreciate. I also live with someone named Steven too. So if he listens to this, he's gonna be mad I didn't shout him out. So he's not a DJ, but maybe one day.
Well, shout out to roommate Steven. Who will one day be a DJ.
Yeah, one day. Yeah.
That's crazy. So you guys all have your own different things going.
Yeah.
How much cross-pollination, like are you involved in organizing Coalesce at all?
No,
or do you, okay.
I'm not. Those are my best friends, but I'm not involved in it in terms of like the inner like workings of how it's planned or anything. It's just because I have my own parties and I actually, I've waited this long to talk about it. I have a warehouse party in 2 weeks in downtown LA, August 19th. It's a new production company that I actually started called Kaleidoscope Rhythm.
Okay.
And so it's more based for house music, minimal, very bright production, a lot of good energy. And we did our first party last year in August and we sold that out. It was amazing. I want to do more parties this year. And I hate to say it, it's just me solo. It's just like, it's a little bit difficult to organize something of that nature, of that scale that I want to do often in a year. Cause it's a full-time commitment, And when it's just one person, you have to organize bar, security, sound, all that stuff by yourself. And it's a little much. So like I try to,
that sounds like,
I tend to do it just once a year because my birthday's in a few weeks. So it's like, all right, it's just a big party, and so it's pretty nice. I do plan on doing some more stuff this year. I have been gearing up to, working with some other people that are helping me, kind of bring it up. People like Sly Turner. I don't know if you ever. Yeah, he's an amazing DJ and producer. Honestly, probably the most talented producer that I know personally. He is just a wizard. He'll make like the craziest beats you've ever heard with Ableton and Apple headphones. I swear to God. Yeah. He lived at my house for a month, and I swear this motherfucker wrote 30 songs in a month.
Crazy.
And they're all heat. Like it's not even like they were shit. Like these 30 songs, I swear to God, are like it's some people like it would be some people's best work, and it's crazy. And so like I'm lucky to have someone like him in my life where he helps me out with like producing and stuff, and now in the future with event throwing and stuff like that. So, and then obviously some other homies that I have that are gonna come on down the line. But
yeah, I mean it sounds like part of what's sort of kind of propelled you is really having people around you who are also doing the same thing.
I owe it all to them, because without them it would be, and I have and then someone I've collaborated with, James McGeehan, we have a lot of collabs together. We actually I have 2 top 10 releases actually.
Okay, shit.
Me and him had a collab EP where we had a few collab tracks and a couple solos, and we charted on Find Music at the end of 2020. We hit number 7 on the charts, and the reason I even bring that up is because I had watched him. He had a year before me had decided to go to music school, and he was just DJing like me, and he was making some of the sexiest deep house I had heard, and I was like, whoa, you got so good so fast. And he was just working with him, and it was just from there I was meeting with so many different minimal producers who were making such good music. And we were just it just helps you grow so much because you send a song to someone who actually makes the genre you're making. They're like, oh, dude, you should tweak this, or here's how you would do this, or you know what I mean, like that. And so it's really, really helpful.
Oh yeah, and I didn't get a chance to kind of ask you, how did you really figure out the sound that you wanted to exist?
Oh yeah, and so I have a lot of different sounds. I would describe I produce it's a mix between pumping house music and very deep house minimal music.
Would you call that like tech house, or
I make some
on the pumping side?
I make some tech house.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say it.
Okay,
Yeah, because there's some good tech house. I genuinely enjoy a lot of tech house. There's a lot of shit tech house. Like a lot of American tech house is not very good. Hate to say it, but it's not. It's a very, very formulaic and it's very commercial.
Yeah.
It's very big. You know, it's like big build up. Big drop.
Well, it all wants to be losing it, right?
Exactly.
Like,
and so, in the way I show people my music, my tech house or whatever, and it's very groove, you know, and it's just like the drop is just basically bringing the groove back, you know what I mean? And so it's just like people are like, oh, when's the drop coming? And it's just like, oh, there's no drop, just groove, you know. But that's what I like. Is the music with the groove is great, because a lot of American tech house I hear, like a lot of like the hats aren't even like swung, you know, it's very like very on the grid, and it's just like not a lot of life in it, and it's just, I'm not a big fan of it. And I mean, anyone who's out there producing that shit, like more power to you. If you're writing your own shit, like I can never talk shit on you, you know, you're doing it, you know, so like I'm not even saying that. I'm just my personal taste, I'm not super into it.
But I guess, yeah, who are some of the DJs / producers that kind of inspire your sound?
Inspire my sound? So I mean, just in my friend group, like Kieran Ishimaru has some of the coolest music.
Okay.
Matt Egbert has some amazing releases. Wyatt Marshall has incredible music that I love. Sweely is my biggest inspiration.
Okay.
He's the god. The way he approaches the music industry just breaks all the rules. He doesn't even release music on labels anymore. He just straight on SoundCloud, and he blows up. And I love that, because that's when I first started DJing, I feel like a lot of DJs that I had loved were on SoundCloud dropping fucking beats. Right. You know, no label, just fucking heaters on SoundCloud. You would find them, you're like, whoa, who is this guy? I love that, and I wish, and I could start doing it too. I have a lot of music that I probably won't release, but I was thinking like maybe I should just release them for free on SoundCloud. You know, let the people have the music.
Well, especially if what you're saying is, you know, you're not making that much money anyway, right? And if it's mainly just marketing for you, exactly, just get as much of it out there.
So it's how you really approach it. Some people want to get as much music as they can. Some people are like, oh, why would you release something that you maybe aren't like the most proud of? But then it's either or. I've had tracks where I think aren't that good, and I send it to people, and they're like, oh, dude, this is probably my favorite song I've heard from you. And so I don't know, like it's at the end of the day, like I guess you'll never really know. So I mean, if you think the mix and stuff are there and it sounds like, you know, something that's, you know, respectable, then I would say release it. Okay. Realistically, why not?
And are there any sort of big name DJs where you're like, this guy is the template for what I would want to accomplish, or what I mean,
someone,
person.
Yeah, so I guess someone like, I guess anyone in that like Europe scene, where like someone like Joko or like Chris Stussy and stuff like that, where they have broken into, they play all the cool Europe parties, and they'll come into the US and play Space, and
right,
you know what I mean, and they'll play like, you know, like events here and stuff. So I guess that is like my roadmap to where I want to be, is to be, and to get to where I want to be, I'm trying to really just hunker down in the studio, because where I want to be, like grinding to play random gigs isn't gonna help me.
Right. Have you ever considered like moving to Berlin or Europe or something?
Maybe at one point, if my music had exploded enough, like, because moving to Europe just to pursue it would, like, you know, increase my chances in a way. But if I feel like my music, I think my music is good, but like, do I think that like I have a lot of levels to grow before I can, like, you know, really consider myself of the level of like those guys? Right. Yeah, I believe so. And I've been learning every day. So it's something. And one thing that I have thought about too is that I love building LA nightlife. That's something that I think was very, very important to me, is building something where you live, something that like you're proud of, and building something that's very proper for the city. You know what I mean? Because what LA has now is a lot. There's for the techno side, we're pretty covered, right? They got the underground, like we got all the, you know, 6 AM and all those fools. They're doing amazing like underground techno parties, and then like Operandi and Cognition and stuff. But like for house music, there's like Madhouse brings out a lot of cool people. Sometimes 6 AM even does too, and like, but it's very few and far between. Like all the nightclubs in LA fucking suck.
Yeah, like the
I haven't seen anyone.
Here
I haven't
now,
seen
yeah.
anyone good play at Academy and fucking since it's opened. I haven't seen anyone good play at Sound in a long time, except when my homies play. You know, but they mostly book like melodic techno. No, I'm not saying I would love to play Sound one day, and but it's like stuff that a lot of people are booking in LA isn't certainly what I am into. And so I haven't really geared my focus towards even playing a lot, like, you know, at those venues because,
right.
like, you know, it's like they're not really interested in that sound. So that's the one thing I wanted when I started Kaleidoscope Rhythm was to kind of be able to bring some stuff that I'm into to the city. And our party in a few weeks is going to be kind of like a taste of that. You know, we have like, you know, some really great names, and I actually booked an artist that isn't house music, which is something I don't normally do, but I did because she's amazing. Atari.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She is one of my favorite DJs. She's
more on what, like a techno tip?
No, it's like breaks.
Okay.
Breaks and techno, but she mixes house too. She's just a good DJ. Like she has full crowd control. And like a lot of I only book DJs that I have seen work a dance floor, because I don't know about you, but when I go to a lot of events, I feel like the DJ doesn't have full crowd control. And that's very important in a set, because at the end of the day, if people are just standing there talking and not listening to the music you're playing, then it's a waste of a slot. I want people at my party dancing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like, anyone can mix. It's very hard to be a good DJ. It's very hard to like develop your knowledge and ear enough to where you know immediately when you play a track, all right, this is what I got to hit him with. This is how I got to vibe the crowd, you know? Because like you can give someone a playlist of the same tracks, but like the way you like progress it throughout the night, you know, it could be way different. You know what I mean? And that takes a while to learn, and some people have it, some people don't, and like it's just the way it is.
What do you think accounts for that X factor? Do you think that's just what it is, X factor?
X factor, yeah. I think it's just something you either have or you don't. And I mean, you could develop it, and I think you can easily develop it, but like at the end of the day, like I've talked about in the beginning, like you have to trust your ear. Right. And I feel like, and I'm not even like at my music taste, like when I first started, I was like DJing like trap music. Straight up, like hard, like trap, future bass shit. I was back when I was like 17, you know. I actually had one mix that was on Run the Trap that was like blew me up on SoundCloud, and then I got all my mixes were I had a bunch of mixes on SoundCloud, and they got striked for copyright. They deleted my whole account. I had like thousands of followers, and I rebranded as a different name. Started doing house music because that's what I liked. Right. You know what I mean? And then, so I mean, as your ear like develops, you know, and so I'm not saying that like the X Factor is something like you can't like develop, but like it's something that like you kind of know when you first start whether you're like playing stuff that people will like, you know what I mean, and like that you know that people will like.
I think beyond crowd control too, like what I notice a lot more of these days is like a lot of times the technical is not there.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot like, and I'm like sometimes like my mixing, like, you know, sometimes I'll slip up here and there, but I don't see a lot of people take risk in mixing. So like, so this is something I learned from Forrest. So shout out him. He was like, dude, let these tracks like blend them together, let them ride, dude. You know, create something. Yeah. And then from then on, years ago, I've been doing that. But like a lot of people just they mix intro to intro. Yeah. And it kills the energy of the crowd, you know? And it's like, you gotta know when to mix certain ways, like when to do a proper phrase mix or when to, you know what I mean? You know, when to do certain stuff, you know? It's like
yeah. And so this may be controversial of an opinion, but you know, I would rather the DJ be using sync than me have to hear them bending every few seconds.
I mean, I agree. It makes for a more cohesive mix. Obviously, like I think it would be better not to use sync, but I don't think it's cheating. Like in a way, like who cares? Like
yeah, and you know, on the other hand, I was talking with Steven when he was on. To some extent, you know, when you know that there is no sync, there's a little more drama to like, oh, are they gonna make it?
Yeah, like exactly. You know, that's why I like when you hear a drop on a drop, it is on, and it's like you're in the zone.
But sometimes, like with certain DJs out here, it's like, dude, like every fucking transition.
If you're like that,
I can hear
you sing.
Yeah, like
you sing,
I can hear you bending. Like just like use the sync. It'll make me like a lot happier.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Save you like some time.
Exactly, and it's like and so like mixing isn't something that's like super hard. So I mean, like if it's like, you know what I mean. So it's like for you to use sync, like it's not like. I don't think it's that bad. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like something that's like so crazy that like, oh, I'm gatekeeping it.
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't really matter. If you have tracks, you have tracks, you know?
Yeah, like you said, the crowd control is a whole different thing.
It's important.
Beyond.
It's super important. I guess think about any good DJ you've ever seen. They work the crowd like crazy, you know? That's what makes it memorable.
Yeah. So how do you, what is your stance on sort of hands in the air shit versus like, I'm just going to look down?
If anyone has ever seen me DJ, I am very up there dancing and like I don't like talk in the mic because I think that's cardinal sin in terms of like. Well, if you're using the mic to like you yell, oh, everyone put your hands up, that's foul. That's like that. I don't fuck with that. But
put your fucking hands in the air.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's something that I will never do. But. Well, I like when I like, you know, DJ, I'll put my hand up and the crowd puts their hand up.
Right.
Like, you know, that's like, I think that actually makes the crowd more.
Well, yeah, I think it's gotten more important, you know, like I feel like when I was coming up, it was very much the like British, like Sasha and Digweed school of DJing where it's just like, yo, we're being serious up here. Yeah. We don't even know. We don't even like see you type of situation. Yeah. And I've seen how that's changed over the years and I'm not mad at it because I think as the DJ has become more of kind of a pop star, for lack of a better word, right? There's more of an expectation of like interaction.
No, and that's just innately me too.
Right.
That's like the kind of guy I am. Like I'm very upbeat. I'm very energetic.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
So it's something that like I want to portray when I'm DJing. And I've had people come up to me and be like, hey, like I just like watching you up there. Just because like it was a good vibe, like, you know, and that's like important because it's like, oh, like he's vibing, I'm gonna be vibing,
right.
And it's like, oh, if he's like, you know what I mean? It's very like if you're up there and it looks like you're nervous or it looks like, you know what I mean, like you're just head down mixing. And you're mixing fucking house music.
That's true too.
People are gonna be like,
true too.
I understand if you're mixing fucking in like industrial techno
or like you're like a melodic techno guy or whatever.
Actually, it's mostly melodic techno. I've seen like I Hate Models. That dude's crazy on the decks, dude. I mean, like
the melodic techno people are very like, it's like this is a serious epic experience.
Unpopular opinion. I hate melodic techno. It's probably my least favorite style of music, and I only hate it is because every drop just sounds the same. But that could be labeled for every genre. So like I'm just being a hater because all my friends and I just like whenever we hear it, because it's always a big build up and then the big moog drop, you know, like wow.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not something I'm super into. So I always find that the guys who fucking DJ always take themselves so seriously.
Yeah, man.
They always have like they either dress like they just spent 2 months in Tulum with the big ass fucking brim hat, or they like or they're all like dressed in black and they're like head down and you're just like, oh, they look at me like But I wouldn't name that as jokes. If you out there and you produce melodic techno and you're actually serious about it, I'm proud of you and keep going. Like people love that shit. Like I genuinely, people love it. And so it's like, if you like it too, keep fucking grinding at it because people love it. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's definitely some of that shit out there that I do not like at all. Like, like I'm not a fan of Afterlife.
I liked one Tale of Us video, and I forever my timeline has fucking Tale of Us in Tulum videos. And even when I say I don't want to see, I'm not interested in this content. Every fucking day I'll see something.
Yeah, I can't do it. Like last Coachella, I saw like Art Bad and some of the other like.
It's too, dude.
Like,
it's mainstream. Okay, I hate to say it. It's mainstream EDM because the thing about it, it's very big build up, very big build up.
Yeah,
hands up in the air, and then a very big drop.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm like, oh, this is just it's trance.
It's trance. Yeah, and I mean, like, dude, it's like there's no groove into it. That's why. But in a way, though, like I do like the Rampa and Me stuff.
Yeah, that's that's like deep house though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like they're kind of like more melodic, but I like when there's like house elements into it.
Yeah, that's like there's more groove to that for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, but different strokes for different folks. Like I like to like poke fun at people, like at certain genres sometimes, but at the end of the day, like you like what you like, and like you should never let anyone shame you for what you like.
For sure.
Like I listened to Dua Lipa song on the way here.
Yeah, man,
it was great.
There's that one that's gets played everywhere. I love it.
I know. It's great.
Yeah.
It's real catchy.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's nice. It's a nice track.
Well, cool, man. We've done well. We've reached our time here.
Okay.
I guess before we bounce out, do you want to what do you want to plug? I know you got a party coming up.
So I have a few different things I want to plug. I have my warehouse party in 2 weeks. You can find that on my Instagram at KevTrinata. I will tell you a story about it. My handles are Kev Trinata because my name is Kevin Tran, so it's a little bit of a play on that. Have been considering changing my handles to something with my moniker in it, but fuck it. Maybe one day. But
For the time being, Kev Trinata.
Kev Trinata on all my socials, so you can find the links there. Follow at Kaleidoscope Rhythm for event stuff. I have a few EPs. I have one more EP coming out for this year. That's coming out, I believe, in October. And I have one in December. So I actually have two coming out at the end of this year. And be on the lookout for that. I have some gigs coming up. Past that, I am playing in Ventura, August 27th. Be on the lookout for that. But yeah, if anyone wants to celebrate my birthday with me, August 19th, Kaleidoscope Rhythm Warehouse.
There we go.
Come check it out. And thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And don't forget to like and subscribe, folks. Comment. And also, you can listen, if you don't want to watch it on YouTube, you can listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music or where all podcasts are found.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, until next time.
Until next time, man. Thanks so much for having me, man.